Hi guys, welcome back to the Astrology. Today we are going to be talking about the September month reading, and this is going to be a very interesting month. Difficult month as well, because we are going to be facing two eclipses, which is the lunar eclipse coming on around 7th of September, and then around 21st, 22nd of September we will find the solar eclipse coming as well. Now the lunar eclipse will be falling when moon comes in conjunction with Rahu in the sign of Aquarius, while the solar eclipse will come in place when moon will be conjunct with sun in the sign of Virgo around 21st of September. And both of these eclipses will be extremely crucial because they are going to be defining the way we are going to be approaching things. The lunar eclipse is going to be eclipsing our thought process, our decision making, our belief system, because Rahu is going to cast that shadow in your decision making as well. And depending on where this eclipse is happening in your chart, you will be affected accordingly. Whilst solar eclipse is going to be happening again with the conjunction of moon with sun, when moon is going to essentially eclipse over the sun, he is going to be falling right between the earth and the sun. But again, you will have to understand that this is going to be a partial solar eclipse, which is going to be happening in different parts of the world. Depending on what part of the world you are going to be watching this video from, you will have a respective impact as well as based on your zodiac signs. So, without further ado, what we are going to do now, we are going to look into some of the important dates that are going to be coming into picture in terms of transit and understand what's going to be meaning it for us. Now, guys, as you can see on your screen here, that Sun is currently in the sign of Leo until 15th of September. And then for the second half of the month, it is going to be transiting into the sign of Virgo. Now, Sun has been in its own Leo sign, but imagine it has been in difficult situation with its conjunction, with its collaboration with Ketu in the same house so far. Then Mercury is in Leo until 14th of September, and almost a day ahead it will advance into its sign of exaltation in the sign of Virgo from 15th of September onwards. So predominantly both Sun and Mercury are going to be remaining in the first half of the month in your Leo sign, and then they will together transit a day in difference into the sign of Virgo. Venus is in the sign of Cancer until September 14th, and it is going to come into the sign of Leo, where it will become conjunct with Ketu from September 14th onwards. Now, that is going to be very crucial, and we are going to analyze as to what sort of an impact we can anticipate there. Mars is in the sign of Virgo. It is there until September 12th, and from 13th onwards, it is going to be moving into the sign of Libra. Jupiter continues its presence in the sign of Gemini itself in Chatra. So that is a good bit that is happening there. And it is going to be in the sign of Gemini for the month of September. Remember, October is the time when it is going to be moving into its sign of exaltation. Saturn is continuing in its motion of retrogression, and it is in Pisces in Uttara Nakshatra. And the most important thing, guys, you have to understand here is that Saturn will be coming into deepest retrogression because it will be bang opposite to Sun as well from the second half of the month. So it will be getting into its deepest retrogression during the month of September, and that is where its impact becomes extremely crucial for all of us. Lots of things happening. Saturn getting into deep retrogression, two eclipses as I was addressing before, and then Rahu is in Purva Chatra of Jupiter itself in the sign of Aquarius, while it is coming out, in degrees. So it is coming out of its Bal Avastha. It is going to get a lot more strength in its itself. But the lunar eclipse is where it is going to cast its magic, and you have to be very sharp, shrewd in terms of understanding what sort of a impact it will have for you. And then Ketu, of course, is sitting in Pur Falguni nakshatra itself of Leo of Venus, which is where he will be becoming conjunct with Venus. So, guys, without further ado, we will now deep dive into your monthly reading and understand that what these transits are going to be impacting and how they are going to be impacting you for the course of the month. Now, Virgos, as you guys can see in your chart here, you have Mars currently placed in your first house. The lunar eclipse is going to be happening in your sixth, where Rahu is placed in the sign of Aquarius. Saturn is getting into deepest retrogression, as I've been calling out for everybody. It's a difficult month of September. Two eclipses coming into picture, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse is going to be happening when Sun is moving in the second half of the month in your first house. If you're watching this from a Virgo moon standpoint in your Rashi sign, or from from ascendant perspective in your Lagna. And at the same time, what you will see is that Saturn will be getting into its deepest retrogression as well, all the way till October. So challenging period from that perspective. And then Jupiter is of course in your 10th, Venus is in your 11th, will be moving into the 12th. Let's get started in terms of understanding. First and foremost, in your first house itself, you see that Mars, which happens to be your third lord and your eighth lord, is in the first. And this means that, see, first of all, Mars brings a lot of energy, enthusiasm, but it also brings temper, aggression, and challenges as well. It has its own share of problems, and it is not one of the most friendly planet for Virgos per se, given that he is the eighth lord. So there is going to be some level of suddenness, turbulence that would either come into the way you are doing things in your life, or there is some kind of a induced turbulence that could come in. Yes, you will be extremely motivated in terms of taking matters in your own hand. Why? Because the third lord is in the first house. You would want to solve things by yourself, take certain actions by yourself. But at the same time, it is going to bring a very aggressive tone of energy in you, which is going to reflect in towards your fourth, seventh, and eighth as well. What do I mean by that? From a fourth perspective, there could be situations where, with respect to your assets, with respect to your property, with respect to your family, with respect to your emotions or your mother's health, there could be that aggressive tone that could be reflecting there. The same thing could come across towards your spouse, towards your business relationships, towards the people in the market, that you would want to shed that fast paced energy towards the people around. And at the same time, Mars is giving an aspect towards the eighth. I was talking about the Libra folks as well, who are going to face similar situations, that when Mars is giving the aspect into the eighth, in your case, he is the eighth lord as well. So yes, there will be an interest in your mind towards researching something new, towards finding some answers, but it could also mean that there will be some degrees of transformation, turbulence that you have to be prepared to face. Now, more important bit for you to understand, and we will talk about when the Mars transit happens into your second house in a moment later in the video. But we have to understand here what is happening during the first week of September itself, when you are facing eclipse in your sixth house. Your 11th Lord Moon is going to be coming into your sixth house. So there will be some degree of desire, some degree of gains that you would want to bring to yourself. You would want to you know either achieve some goals, or you would want to fulfill something, but the decision making around it can be very tricky. And because this lunar eclipse is happening on the 7th of September, a couple of days before from that, and after, like between 5th or 6th of September all the way to 9th, 10th of September, is where you will have to be extremely cautious in terms of your decision making. See, what are the houses that are getting impacted with this eclipse? Number one, Moon, which is going to undergo this lunar eclipse, is the lord of your 11th house, which means your financial gains that you might want to chase, the desires that you would want to chase, whatever you want to accomplish. There will be a heightened. Rahu is going to play its trick of mysticism, confusion. It will try to bring its ambition, its it's demonic energy on top of your mind, and it will give you ideas as to what you can do differently. It can also bring challenges with respect to the 6th and the 12th, because it is happening in that axis. Now, what does 6th denote? 6th denote loans, litigations, any kind of court cases. It denotes your job, day to day activities. It denotes your health. And because it is in connection with moon, it will also denote your mental health in this case, Virgos. So, and that giving an aspect towards the 12th, which is your losses, which is your, unknown enemies, things that you have not anticipated for. your sleep for that matter, your spiritual self. So there will be a certain degree of confusion that you will face, and there will be this 3, 4, 5 degree sorry days of duration where you have to be absolutely on top of how you tackle situations, getting into unnecessary aggression again with a connection of Mars in the same house as well as Rahu's turbulence with Moon can be difficult. Remember, guys, I've been telling this thing for everybody that solar eclipse and lunar eclipse both are happening in the same month for all of us in the month of September. But the impact of it is dependent on how the accesses are coming into play and which house a lordship is getting impacted. So keep that in mind. Now, Rahu is going to get in trine with Mars as well in the later part of the month when Mars transits there. But the good part is that Jupiter is still placed in your 10th house. Now, Jupiter is the Karaka of the 10th house. He is the Lord of your 4th and your 7th. And that Lord placed in the 10th, being in trine to Rahu, is going to also give you some degree of sanity. It is going to, give you some suggestions. So lean on towards spiritualism, like I've been saying. Lean on to some kind of spiritual guidance, mentorship, gurus, people whom you look up to for figuring out as to how you navigate during this period, especially with respect to your work related bits, because Jupiter is placed in your 10th house itself. Jupiter being in the 10th is giving an aspect to your 2nd, 4th, and 6th. So it is going to try and control to a certain extent the eclipse that is happening in your 6th house. It is also going to try and give you positive thought process with respect to your peace of mind, and it will promote some bit of action there. But your 2nd house, where Jupiter's aspect is coming, the 2nd lord is going to face its own level of difficulties, and we will talk about Venus in a bit. Now, as we move further, guys, what we see is that Saturn, which is your 5th lord and your 6th lord, is currently in the 7th. It is in retrogression and will get into deepest retrogression from second half of this month onwards all the way into October. So be prepared for that, because when Sun is coming into the 7th, into the 1st house, it will be challenging. And then even though when he is moving towards the 2nd house, that bit of an impact is something that you will see in your life. What sort of an impact am I talking about? When it comes to your children, when it comes to your romantic relationships, when it comes to your decision making, when it comes to your creativity, because of the retrogression of Saturn, a lot of that could go haywire for you. So any kind of new decisions, which I've been telling most of the people, have to be navigated. See, if things have been in plan for the last few weeks, months for you, you can continue to work in that direction. But any kind of new decisions can actually bring certain degree of turbulence for you. Then he is your 6th lord as well, sitting retrograded in the 7th. So there could be challenges, obstacles, unnecessary fights, problems that can come either in your marriage or in your business relationships. And it will be at a higher degree. Why do I say that? Because Saturn is in retrogression. Any retrograded planets has the highest cheshtabal. And thereby, what you will realize is that there is going to be work, revisiting of situations related to what Saturn is responsible for in your chart, which is your 5th and your 6th. Now, the more crucial aspect that comes into picture is that Saturn's aspects are also retrograded ones and deep retrograded as we move forward. It's giving an aspect to your 9th house. What you will realize is that any kind of long distance travels could bring certain losses. So please be watchful with respect to travels. There will be some bit of a disagreement with your clients, with your bosses, superiors, mentors, guides, teachers. Your own principles could go on a shaky land. That is also something that the Saturn is going to, in a way, test you. Saturn is giving a retrograded aspect to your 1st house as well as your 4th house. Now, the 1st house retrograded impact means that, as I was saying, because the eclipse is happening in the 6th house and the 6th lord is retrograded in 7th and giving a retrograded aspect, your difficult decisions, wrong decisions, now you have to look in your own dasha, antardasha, natal chart and figure out that how you can navigate that. It is difficult for me to call out in general predictions, but your own decisions could result into losses as well, because it is retrograded aspects toward the 1st and the 12th. So keep that into mind, and that will impact your 4th as well, because Saturn is giving a retrograded aspect towards your 4th. So be very careful and judicious. Do some degree of bouncing of ideas. Connect with a Jupiter that you see around you and figure out that what is the right approach. As we move further, I would want to draw your attention towards Jupiter, which is in the 10th. Now, this is a Great blessing, folks. Jupiter is your fourth and seventh lord. He is coming in trying to Rahu as well as Moon when he will be in that lunar eclipse. And that is going to be the only savior factor. And this is not just for you, it is something that I've been calling out for all signs. So please remember that bit. Moving further, your ninth lord Venus and your second lord is placed in the first half of the month in your 11th house. Now, this is a good position of Venus, so to speak. You will be putting in your own efforts. Your luck will favor you in terms of finding your gains. But materialization of those gains is a challenge because your 11th lord in itself is going through eclipse. So now you see, even though there are good yogas coming into picture in the month of September, it is just going haywire because of all the confusion which is arising. And this is again for everyone, that Venus is coming into the sign of Cancer. I'm sorry. Venus is coming into the sign of Cancer, and the eclipse for Moon is happening in the first half itself. And post that, Venus moves into your 12th house. So during this phase, you will have to take cautious step. Any kind of aggressive, excessive desires, excessive greed, the desire to hoard money, desire to do any kind of major, um, accomplishments, acquisitions could be tricky at this point in time. So you have to be watchful on those fronts too. During the same phase, what you will realize is that Sun, Mercury, and Ketu, three planetary conjunction is happening in your 12th house. Now, your 12th lord is in the 12th house itself. At least from that perspective, it is a great thing. Yes, expenses will be there. In fact, your Lagna lord, or if you're watching this from a moon sign perspective, your Rashi lord is also in the 12th. But Mercury also happens to be your 10th lord, three places away into your 12th house, which means that there will be an exertion that is going to come into play. There will be a possibility of certain losses that could come into play, certain expenses that could come into play. And the problem is that because Sun is coming in conjunction with Ketu, the satisfaction of whatever you do may not be there in place. And that is the difficult bit that is going to bother you, Virgos. I do not have any specific remedies, but maybe being more charitable, donations of any kind, doing the good work in terms of supporting the people who depend on you or the larger society is going to be a right path ahead. Now, you have to understand here that Mercury also happens to be the lord of your 10th house. So, some sort of business related travel, short distance travel, short duration travel will also come into picture. And do not be much hopeful. See, the problem is Mercury gets naturally debilitated in the 12th house. And that is where the tricky part is that it will, that axis of lunar eclipse and then the solar eclipse also coming into picture, it might give prompt you to take wrong decisions with respect to your work. So be very careful in how you are navigating your steps, and you should not be taking any new calls unless and until this eclipse period is done. Now, in the second half of the month, there will be movement across the board where Venus will be shifting into the 12th house and becomes conjunct with Ketu. This is not a great situation to be in, guys. Venus Ketu conjunction, you all know I'm not a huge fan of. It does bring, dissatisfaction with respect to relationships. Here is your second lord and your ninth lord. So, expenses will be on the rise. Some kind of an acquisition could be on your mind, and whatever you are trying to spend on in the hope of finding certain positive shift, well, it can be tricky for you because Ketu might not let you deliver those outcomes, at least for the month beyond, as long as Venus is in that position. So you will have to wait for Venus. See, Virgos, Libras, Scorpios, all of you guys are having a lot of that action happening in your 10th, 11th, 12th, and your first, and thereby it becomes very difficult for you to navigate these situations. In fact, it is one of the most difficult things because in your case, like for Aquarius, Virgos are having the solar eclipse in their first, Aquarius are having in their first the lunar eclipse. So again, it becomes very crucial for you guys to figure out what's going to be the impact here. But some sort of major expense is going to come into play. You could also be required to travel long distance far away from your current place to either for your personal leisure or for business related work as well. But at the same time, uh, it is highly possible that you might be putting in your savings, your own money,
into some sort of an investment, into some sort of a purchase. Why do I say purchase? Because your 12th lord is also coming into the first house, and your second lord is going to the 12th. You see, that story is also weaving in pretty accurately. Once that is happening, you will realize that in the long duration, it might give you the positive outcome, but you have to be focused towards, or at least expect any kind of positive impact on an immediate term basis. Now, when Ketu and Venus are in conjunction in your 12th house in the second half of the month, you will find that Sun and Mercury will be forming that conjunction in the first house for you. Great news to happen is that Mercury will be coming into exaltation. He is your Lagna Lord, he is your Rashi Lord. So there will be a lot of renewed confidence that you will gain as well. But here is the risk. Because he's your 10th lord as well, so that's a good movement. So both from your ascendant as well as 10th house perspective, it's a good shift that's coming into play. But the bad shift is because of sun and the solar eclipse that you will go through. So the same confidence could result into overconfidence of your decision making, which is what I've been trying to call out. That because sun will come in the first house, it will add to that. Sun gives confidence to us. It is the planet for our vitality, for our health, our self belief, our principles, our thought process. But remember, when sun is in Virgo, it knows that it is going to be aspiring for its debilitation. It is going to be niche. So there will be some degree of dissatisfaction as well in the sun. And more importantly, now he is bang opposite to Saturn, who's got into its deepest retrogression, who is having that difficult relationship between Sun and Saturn. So any affairs related to your competition, related to your loans, litigations, related to your creativity, related to your children, your business expenses, your large scale investments, they could cloud your judgment at this point in time, because you will be motivated and driven to run through your gains. But because of this retrogression, because of this increased chestable and the solar eclipse coming into picture, the outcomes can be tricky. If there is something which doesn't need immediate action, immediate impact, I will again highlight, delay that. It's not necessary that you navigate into any decision making in the period when you are going through solar eclipse, which is whilst sun is in your first house itself. Now, the other bit to note is that whilst Mercury will be in exaltation, he will be giving a debilitated aspect to your 12th house. So please be watchful of how you conduct yourself with your spouse, with your business partner, with your business, with people in general in the market, because there will be a sense of confidence to the brink of overconfidence. Eclipse is also coming into picture, and Mercury is giving a debilitated aspect to the seventh. So things can go wrong, and terribly wrong, if not handled properly. So speech becomes extremely important, and you will have that ability because your lord of speech, at least from a personal connects perspective, Venus is good in the first half, but it becomes difficult in the second half when he gets into the conjunction with Ketu. Same thing is what I've highlighted few minutes back on your Mars, which is your formal communication and rules the formal communication itself. Now, the last bit would be with respect to Mars movement into the second house. See, Mars coming in the first, I had called out that it will bring in energy and aggression in you, but at the same time, when he goes into the second, you will be worried with respect to your finances. You will be very protective towards your finances as well, but it could bring in some degree of aggression, confusion, combined with the confidence, overconfidence of Sun and Mercury in the Lagna, that you could be harsh in your conduct with people around you. So September month is something where we all have to be watchful and very strategic how we approach it. Important bit, good bit which is coming into picture is Mars will be giving an exalted aspect to your fifth house. So you will be doing the right for your, for your kids. You would be doing the right steps for, initiatives in terms of creativity. If you are doing something, if you are already in the creative field or whatever job, business, etc. that you do, even if you are a student, this is going to be a good period from your studies perspective as well. So that is where Mars is going to give you a lot of support. Yes, Mars is 12th to itself being the third lord. So there will be risk of your efforts going in vain, or some kind of accident situations also rising for some of you. Again, you have to look into your natal dasha, antardasha, if that sort of a thing is promised there or not. Please do not be deciphering everything from a transit perspective as well. But yes, as I've been repeating, September is a challenging month for all of us. Then from there, Mars will be giving an aspect to your ninth house and your 10th house. And that is where there could be situations where you could bring that same aggression towards your bosses, superiors, mentors, gurus, fatherly figure, clients for that matter. But there will be a good bit that now Mars will be in trine with Jupiter. So if Jupiter is well placed in your chart, if it is in its own sign, in the sign of Sun or Mars itself, then what you will realize is that he is going to give you the right bent of mind to put your efforts in the right direction in your karma, right? So that it's going to be a seesaw kind of a situation. You will have to see the strength of your natal chart as well, the natal dashantar dasha as well. But yes, September is a challenging period. Dev astrology is all about positive astrology. That's what I've maintained consistently. But there are situations when these kind of eclipses are coming into picture that difficult situations will arise. So please be mindful of that. If you've liked the effort and the thought process that has gone into this reading, I'll request you to please smash on that like button, subscribe to the Astrology, and keep watching.